Hello viewers, Bullseye Movies brings you predictions from Landman Season 3. If Landman has proven anything in its first 2 seasons, it's that nothing in West Texas ever explodes without warning. The series has never relied on sudden twists for shock value. Instead, it builds tension the way real oil booms and busts unfold, quietly, gradually, and then all at once. As Season 3 looms, the signs are everywhere. Prices wobble. Politics tighten. Loyalties strain. And somewhere between a spreadsheet in Houston and a pump jack groaning under the sun, the next seismic event is already inevitable. Season 3 isn't about asking if something breaks. It's about identifying what breaks first. Season 2 ended on a deceptively stable note. Deals were signed. Wells were capped or reopened. Relationships, both professional and personal, settled into an uneasy rhythm. For a show set in one of the most volatile industries on the planet, that calm is the loudest warning of all. Season 3 opens not with chaos, but with routine. Trucks roll out before dawn. Rig crews clock in like clockwork. Mid-level executives assure investors that projections remain solid. On the surface, Texas oil looks healthy, maybe even poised for another modest boom. But Landman has always thrived in the margins, and it's in those margins where the cracks begin to show. Crude prices fluctuate just enough to make everyone nervous, but not enough to force immediate action. That limbo becomes the season's emotional baseline. Nobody wants to panic. Everybody knows they should. Season 3's central economic tension revolves around an uncomfortable truth. Oil prices are no longer behaving predictably. They spike on headlines and dip on whispers. A conflict overseas sends futures soaring, only for diplomatic talks to cool them days later. For the landmen and operators in Texas, this volatility is worse than a clean bust. High prices encourage reckless expansion. Low prices force discipline. But unstable prices do something more dangerous. They paralyze decision-making. Executives hesitate to greenlight new drilling. Smaller operators overextend themselves trying to beat the next downturn. Veteran landmen warn against optimism, only to be ignored by younger investors chasing fast returns. This push and pull becomes the engine of Season 3's drama, driving characters into choices they know are risky but feel unavoidable. The show frames it clearly. The next big twist won't come from an external disaster. It will come from human overreaction to uncertainty. Midway through the season, whispers begin to circulate about a promising new formation. Not a massive, world-changing discovery, but something just big enough to tempt everyone into action. Early surveys suggest untapped reserves beneath land that's politically sensitive, environmentally contested, and legally complicated. This is where Landman excels. The discovery isn't treated as a miracle. It's treated as a dilemma. Developing the site would require aggressive leasing, rushed approvals, and navigating a maze of regulations that have tightened significantly since Season 1. Environmental watchdogs circle immediately. State regulators, under pressure from both industry donors and federal oversight, delay permits just long enough to raise costs. Meanwhile, rival companies smell blood. The predictable outcome: everyone moves forward anyway. Because in Texas oil, hesitation is often deadlier than risk. While the rigs stay firmly planted in West Texas soil, Season 3 broadens its scope by bringing global politics into local conversations. Foreign supply disruptions, shifting alliances, and export restrictions all ripple down to the smallest lease agreements. What makes this compelling is how Landman personalizes geopolitics. Characters don't debate policy, they react to consequences. A delayed shipment means layoffs. A sudden embargo makes a marginal well profitable overnight. A change in federal tone sends compliance costs skyrocketing. Season 3 predicts a clear narrative turn. The characters realize they are no longer just competing with neighboring companies. They're competing with forces they cannot see or control. This realization breeds paranoia, alliances of convenience, and betrayals that feel inevitable rather than shocking. Unlike earlier seasons, where environmental concerns hovered at the edges of the story, Season 3 brings them front and center. Not as moral lectures, but as logistical nightmares. New regulations don't shut down drilling outright, they complicate it. Reporting requirements expand. Cleanup liabilities increase. Insurance premiums spike. One small spill, previously manageable, now threatens to shut down an entire operation. The predictable twist here is that the industry's old playbook no longer works. Paying fines and moving on isn't an option. Public scrutiny is relentless, and social media ensures every mistake becomes a spectacle. For veteran characters who built careers on handshake deals and quiet settlements, this shift feels like betrayal. For younger players, it's just reality. That generational divide becomes one of Season 3's most consistent sources of tension. As the industry destabilizes, personal storylines intensify. Marriages strain under financial pressure. Long-standing friendships fracture over deals gone bad. Characters who once prided themselves on pragmatism begin making emotional decisions. Season 3 leans heavily into this idea. When the system stops making sense, people revert to instinct. Some double down, convinced survival requires aggression. Others pull back, trying to protect what little stability they have left. Neither approach works cleanly. The show suggests that adaptability, not loyalty or ambition, will determine who survives the coming shift. By the final episodes, the catalyst becomes clear in hindsight. It's not the discovery, not the regulation, not the price drop. It's the convergence. A delayed permit stalls production. Prices dip at the wrong moment. Investors panic. Credit tightens. One mid-sized operator folds, dragging partners down with it. The collapse ripples outward, faster than anyone can react. The season doesn't end with explosions or courtroom victories. It ends with silence, idle rigs, empty offices, and characters staring at futures they no longer recognize. And yet, Landman refuses nihilism. Even in collapse, opportunity lurks. New players move in. Assets change hands. Survivors regroup. Because in Texas oil, the end of one cycle is always the beginning of another. Season 3 of Landman doesn't predict a simple boom or bust. It predicts transformation. The industry won't disappear, but it won't look the same. Power consolidates. Margins shrink. The mythology of endless expansion dies quietly. In its place emerges something colder, leaner, and far less forgiving. For viewers, the next big twist isn't a surprise revelation. It's the slow realization that everything the characters relied on, prices, politics, precedent, was always unstable. The rigs keep pumping. The deals keep coming. But the rules have changed. And by the time anyone admits it out loud, it's already too late. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and comment for more reviews on our channel at Bullseye Movies.